Songwriting, a very important part of making it big in the music business if you're an artist or you're a songwriter yourself. And one of the ways that you need to be successful is to understand how to songwrite and how to write a good song. How to connect with songwriters if you're an artist and you're not a songwriter, or how to work well with others to create great music. Speaking of great music, we got my man Tehron here from our city, who's worked with everybody from Justin Bieber to Rihanna to J-Lo to Miley Cyrus to Beyonce to Adam Levine. Who have you not worked with is really who we should be saying,
Oh,
right?
man, yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to talk to him about some very basic fundamental rules and understanding of songwriting, what it is to be a songwriter, how to break as a songwriter, and how to make a successful song. You ready? You cool to talk about that?
Yeah, I good.
Great. So, what are the basic skills one would need to become a songwriter?
Man, the basic skills one would need, well, I think songwriting is so many different ways, and it depends on what you're doing. If you're a lyric guy, I would figure, being good with words, being good with rhymes, being good with metaphors. I think that's basic lyric 101.
Right.
If you're a melody guy, I figure you should know something about melody and music and the way melody works and how it affects people. And if you do both, I think you need to know all of those things.
Right.
Definitely.
So is there a difference, because some people will hear the word top line, some people will hear lyrics, you hear melodies. So for somebody that's just starting, can you explain the difference between those things? Because you might just be someone that has good lyrics but don't know how to make the melody to it.
Exactly. And it's so funny, like, some of the biggest songwriters don't do everything, you know what I mean? So to the songwriters out there, or if you're a new songwriter who is like, yo, I have cool songs but I can't sing, and you could bring lyrics, ideas to a melody guy, or a melody guy and vice versa. And if you do melody, you could do like that. I would figure with songwriting though, breaking it down as melodies are more important
Than the lyrics.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, hey, sexy lady, oh, my God. I have no idea what he's talking about, but
Right.
I just feel like if that melody carries, I feel like the wall could hum along, sing along,
Right.
move along. You know what I'm saying? But not that lyrics aren't important to all of my songwriters out there who coming up with cool lyrics and cool concepts. That's very important as well. But me personally as a songwriter, I've always been more in tune with the melody, because I feel like that affects the wall more than necessarily the words.
Well, that's a good point. The memorable thing is the chant.
Yes.
Or the melody of what you're singing, right?
Exactly.
So what does top line mean to people that don't know?
When somebody say they need a good top line guy, is a top liner is the person that basically, you have a beat, you go to a producer gets a beat, and the top liner basically puts the lyric and melody on the beat. A good top liner, a good person that gonna come up with the lyric and melody of the song. That's a top liner.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's somebody that writes the lyrics and creates
And the melody, yeah. Like,
Right.
yo, this guy is a great top liner. Call him in. He could come in here by himself, and he could be like, if I got locked away, and he gonna come up with a melody, and he gonna put the lyrics in there as
Right.
well. Yeah.
So now you mentioned there are some people that can write lyrics, but they can't sing.
Yeah.
So if there was a songwriter watching right now and they're like, man, I know that I have great songs. I know that if I can just get people to hear my songs, but I can't sing.
Yes.
What does that person do? How do they get people to hear the songs that they're writing?
I mean, it's all about music business. The best producers and songwriters know that collaborating makes the best songs. I think the best songs are made in groups, in teams. And if you are just a lyric guy starting out, you at your house, you writing in your bedroom by yourself, it's all about reaching out and getting into the music wall of your peers. Meaning, a lot of songwriters have this notion that if I send a DM to The Dream, or if I reach out to Max Martin, my life will change. Whereas most of the time, as an upcoming songwriter, your life actually changes with the people in your class, like the people that are coming up with you.
Right.
It's like yo, I don't write lyrics, and my next door neighbor, he always humming. Yo, dude, you to be doing these. We should get together, and I feel like, as a songwriter just starting out, meeting with the people closest to you, around you that into music, because I feel like people are into the same thing without even trying, you to end up being friends.
Right.
You know, you in the how did we become friends? How did we meet? You were into music, I were into music. We, you know, and we crossed paths. So if you're a lyric guy, I think the most important thing, trying to connect with other musicians, and you will run into a cool
Right.
melody guy.
Right.
If you're a melody guy, you want to mingle in the circles, and you'll run into a cool lyric guy. Yeah.
So don't think, again, I keep stressing this, don't think that you have to get in touch with the super successful A-listers to uplift you, because it's not always necessarily true. Sure, you can reach out to people and maybe they will reach it back out to you, and that's a great first move, but that doesn't mean you're on, because you could even connect with you because you're in the studio with you. You're the big dog in the room, right? So you're going to get the attention. You know what I mean? So you're going to get most of the credit because of your success already.
And the thing about it is, you know, I've been blessed to be in this business for a long time, and my motto has always been, as long as the checks come to the right address.
Right.
You know, because one thing about the music business is, no matter what people post on their Instagram, what people say on an interview, the people with the checkbooks know who is actually doing the work.
Right.
And if you are the person really writing the lyrics, and this guy is, okay, you actually write the songs. I just the face, you know, flashy jacket. Ooh, I get on the goal, they're like, yo, this guy looks cool. This is the guy we want to talk to. They'll talk to me, but after a while they'll be like,
it's not really him.
It's not really him,
it's
though.
His team.
It's his team. It's the other guy that's the guy that's actually doing the work. So guess what? We really need to get this guy. So I just feel like, you know, one of my biggest things that I just say every day is, you know, I'm minding my business and doing my work, you know. And
well, I want to elaborate on that for those that didn't catch your point in that, because I think it's really important that they understand that sometimes you may have to come underneath somebody else.
yeah,
Sometimes you might not get the shine at first. But what he's trying to get across is the people that need to know, even if it's not the Instagram fans, even if it's not the people outward, the people behind the scenes that write the checks, they will know who's really behind the scenes eventually. So it's really patience.
it's always patience.
Hard work and patience, and it's going to come your way.
It's always patience, man. I mean, you know, I tell anybody, I moved to the States from the Virgin Islands. I moved here with $45. I slept on the floor. I went from place to place. I would go into rooms and people would be like, oh man, we're not looking for any Jamaican music. I am not Jamaican at all,
Right.
but big up to Jamaica, but I am not. And so it would be like, no, like I write pop songs and R&B songs and rap songs. And they're like, yeah, but when we need the island stuff, we'll call you. And it takes so much time before me and my brother, our city, and you know, my manager Ray could convince people to even let us in a room. Our motto, my manager used to say, give us 5 minutes. How about this? If you would let me and my guys in this room for 5 minutes, I promise you we could impress you.
Right.
And people would be like,
5 minutes?
I mean, I don't think that's enough. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Wow me.
Yeah.
And yo, if you I mean, you know, we've walked before, you know, like for me, if a beat come on, I kind of like, the first thing come to my mind, and it's like, oh man, this kid is fast. And yo, these guys are fast, they work quick, you know, and that became our thing. But I also know songwriters that take a week to write a song, but it's the #1 song in the country. So, you know, I don't want people to, you know, I feel like patience is important and respecting the process.
Right.
That's to me, patience and respecting the process is the most important thing, because not because I could do it in 5 minutes and it takes you 5 days means that I am better than you.
Right.
It just means our process is different.
Right, and don't think the way that somebody else is winning is the way that you have to win.
Never.
Right. So one thing I like to say, I don't like to say it, but one thing that's a fact I think you'll agree with is that songwriting and producing, but songwriting is basically the one job in the world that you work overtime with no guaranteed pay, no overtime pay, no benefits, no retirement plan, and no guarantee or promise that you're ever going to get credit or money for this job.
The funny part about songwriting is you could go in the studio every day for a year, 365 days. You could write a song every day, not sell a song, none of the stuff. And then let's say on day 364, you sell one song.
66.
Yes, and the 2000, you was working out 2019, and in 2020, January 1st, they were like, hey, I like this song, but this one song, it becomes a hit, and that literally could, a real hit record could make up for the last 3 years that you've been in the studio every day without a placement, without any work, and you just got to get up every day and literally, it's like the music business is like Vegas, you know, without the mob.
Right. How long did it take you and your brother when you guys decided we're going to be songwriters? How long before you had the first record that was like, oh man, maybe we might be real. This might really work out.
Oh man, the first glimpse of hit-making success that we had was the Pussycat Dolls when I grew up, and we was working with Ronnie Jorkins. We wrote the song. We sent it out, and Jimmy Iovine loved it and got excited and flew like Timbaland and Polo. He flew every big like basically, like I would say, like the first writing camp ever. Yeah. You know, was like, you guys have to beat this song. And at that time, me and my brother didn't know how much money you could make as a, you know, that wasn't like, oh yeah, this is a career. It was like, yo, we're artists, we try and be big, but everybody say we talented writers and we could do this thing. So I was like, cool, you know, as long as it don't have me sleeping back on the mat to train or sleeping back on the floor like we used to. Yo, I write songs every day, I enjoy it. And you know, Pussycat Dolls, when I grew up, came out and it was successful and it was international and it was worldwide. And then everybody was like, these guys are amazing. Right. But the funny part is, what it don't tell you is when you in your basement working, the only pressure that you have is the pressure that you put on yourself.
Right.
When you have a hit, yo, the pressure comes from the wall, because now a man calls you and say, hey, you wrote When I Grew Up. Oh man, I love that song. It's doing well. It's doing awesome. You're making money. I want you to come to New York and work with my artist. Oh, great. This is awesome. I'm going to fly you to New York. I'm going to put you in a hotel. I'm going to bring you to the studio. Then they're going to come to the studio and an A&R going to walk in and they're going to say, hey, write me a hit. Yep. And he's like, I don't think that's how it works. Right. I'm going to do my best, you know. And the funny part is, honestly, in the music business, you only as good or useful as your last hit. Right. Yeah, so if you don't have anything musically relevant at the time, if you didn't make good relationships, people don't call you. You literally, guess what? You start in your basement, guess where you end? Back in your fucking basement. That's where you end up. It's like.
But how long was the process for you and your brother? Because I'm trying to get to the patience. So how long was the process before you decided to be songwriters and you got that Pussycat Dolls record?
Man, okay. So for me and my brother, it was different because we became songwriters by mistake for others.
And I'm gonna get into that.
Yes, yeah. I didn't even know. We didn't even know that people wrote songs for other people. We were artists. We wrote our own songs, and we thought people wrote their own songs. Right. And
when I was producing, I wouldn't let no one touch anything. I'm like, no, that's whack. If someone else has anything to do with it, I must do it myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, how does Pharrell do all of this stuff and be in videos and run around and do fashion and make all these beats?
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, oh, you have other people helping you. It's like a real business.
It's a business.
You run that business and you got people working for you that help make your business that you built work. So you were saying?
So, Benny, Akon's DJ, you know Benny D. We grew up together. And he was like, Akon working on his new album, Convicted. And me being, at that time, I was a young kid, I cocky, I write, you know, and he played me like 2 songs that Akon were like, yo, and I was like, yo, bro, I got a better song than that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, for real? Play it for me. And I played him this song named The Rain. But the funny part, I write that song when I was in 7th grade.
Right.
And, you know, so it was like, Benny was like, oh, The Rain, yeah. I like, yeah, but I changed the voices because the voices was rap voices. I like, yo, I have it singing. He was like, yo, let me play it for Akon. I was like, why? You know, so you could play for Akon and Akon could sing it. I was like, why? You know? He said, Tehron, you write a song, you give it to the... Oh.
And you were like, I thought he wrote all his own
Yeah,
stuff.
I thought everybody, no, I thought everybody did. Everybody and the mother. And Akon, at this time I was working at Party City. My brother was working at Publix. And Akon paid us $5,000 cash. Yeah. And we were like, wait, yo, you know how much songs I have? You could have all these, you could have every song that I own.
5,000 each.
Yeah. You know, I didn't know. And you know, that happened. That was the most money I had ever seen that was mine at the time. I was like, yo, you know, I called my parents like, yo, Akon just pay us like $5,000 in cash, like, for a song. Like, why, you know, for us, it's like, we were green, we didn't know.
Right.
And that opened a door where we were like, oh, it's a rap. Right. Okay, I could do this, you know, and maybe it's arrogance, maybe it's me believing in myself, but because of me just thinking that if I put my mind to something, I the type of person that if I think I could fly a plane, you can't convince me otherwise. I'd be like, okay, yo, Tehron, you gotta take classes. Okay, cool, let me take the classes. But I'm telling you, I know how to do that. Yeah. And once Akon opened that door, I was just like, we could do this. But that was in 2005 or 6.
Right.
Yo, we didn't become important to songwriting until like 2010. Yeah. So think of that. We sold a song. We think we the hot shit. Yeah. You know, we like, yeah. And, you know, it take another.
Back to the basement.
Back to the basement.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
Then you're like, man, we got to get some more of these checks.
How do we do that?
So how did you do that? Like, what is the process for someone that, like yourself, got a taste of success, right back to the basement? What do you do to then elevate that to get to more artists?
Man, you got to be a people person. I mean,
you got to network.
You got to network, and I'm gonna tell people this is a story. Okay, I used to sell watches, right? I used to sell watches at a place called Little Switzerland in the Virgin Islands, owned by Tiffany. I was the number 2 salesman, and my boss said, Tehron, you want to know why you're number 2 and not number 1? You're the youngest person working here. You should be number 1, but you're number 2. You want to know why? I was like, of course, I want to make more money. He asked me, what do we sell here? I say, watches.
Right.
He said, that's why you're number 2. I said, what? He said, I noticed that you wear nice shoes. You go to Foot Locker? You know, you like Foot Locker? I say, yeah. When you go into Foot Locker, do they have to sell you shoes or it's a shoe store? You know what you came to buy. I'm like, yeah, exactly. They come into a watch store, you don't have to sell them a watch. The question you always have to ask is, why are they buying the watch from you? If you want to be the number 1 salesman, you have to sell yourself. And with the music business, what we learned early was that's what it is. Yo, bro, if you're in a record label, guess what you want to buy? Songs. I don't have to come in the room and be like, yo, bro, it's like, I heard you have songs. If you're a drug deal, if you're a dope boy, I heard you got the work. This is what I need. You come in, you're like, I don't like this nigga vibe. He might be a snitch. Something feel off. Yeah. So that I don't want to work with him. And the music business, I feel it's similar to that. It's like, yo, I know I write in songs, but everybody writing songs. Yo, you write songs, I write songs. I literally, in honesty, know 100 people that write songs.
Right.
So the thing is, because we're in an opinionated business, are your songs better than mine? Right. It's just
subject to the listener.
Exactly. That's why networking, that's why going out and building relationships with people. Because when you have a relationship with people, people, honestly, there's sometimes we get it right and get it wrong, but a lot of times it's because we selling shit to our friends.
100%. So you're an artist
and
a songwriter.
Yes.
A lot of people are both.
Yes.
Right? So what I want to talk about is the frustration, or how do you manage doing both? For instance, you and I both have experience where you call somebody in because they're a good songwriter and they just want to play you their records.
Yes.
And you're like, we're not here for that. That's cool. Not really fucking with that. I care about your songwriting. Let's focus on that. So how does an upcoming artist who's really rambunctious and excited to, I'm in a room, I want to show everybody what I'm playing or what I'm working on, even though they want me here to songwrite for them, I want to play them what I'm working on. They're trying to impress. What kind of advice do you give to that person who's a songwriter and an artist?
I've made this mistake before, and I'm going to tell this story. I remember me and my brother had 2 songs for our album, and we played for Chris Brown, and Chris Brown wanted to buy them, and he wanted them right there, and we were like, yo, but these for us. And I remember that had turned Chris Brown off, because he had just feel like, hey, y'all niggas be keeping all the good songs for yourself.
Right.
And them songs, and guess what? Those songs never came out.
Right.
And Chris Brown wanted to pay me a substantial amount of money right there, right at the time. Look, I want it. I want to cut these songs. I'm going to put them out right now. Give them to me.
Right.
And then I learned, because this is a motto, you know, we just say, me and my friends, me and my team, don't flirt if you're not going to fuck.
Right.
And I really live by that. I am not the guy that gonna come in the room and play you someone else's music. You know, we were talking about this before the camera came on. If you say, yo, I got this island girl vibe, I am not going to play you Rihanna songs, because then you're like, yeah, that's what I want. That right there. Mm-hmm. Well, it's Rihanna song. You can't have it. Right. Why the fuck would you play that for me?
Right.
So,
well, I think just because I know how some people think, they may be thinking, well, because I want to show you the other dope stuff I made, so you can see I'm definitely the person for the job that can make you that record.
But you in the room.
Right.
You in the room. You already in the room.
What about somebody that didn't get invited to the room but got lucky to be in a room to then showcase their talent?
Okay, if you are listen, if I say, hey, I working on a project, I heard you were good, let's sit down and have lunch, or let's come to the studio and play me some beats. Mm-hmm. That's different. I didn't even tell you I was working on.
Right.
You know, or I'm like, yo, I'm working on some things, come by. And you was like, oh shit, The Dream just called me. Whoa, Rico Love just called me.
Right.
Man, you come into the studio, you're gonna be like, yo, this is what I got, check these out. That's different. But if I is like, we are working on Selena Gomez.
Right.
This is what she's on, this is what we need.
Right.
Don't play me Ariana Grande songs that you already did, that's recorded, that you're like, this is about to drop. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what I need for Selena Gomez. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck would you play that for me?
Right.
You know, so, you know, I get our need to show off. And again, if we are friends, you know, I have a bunch of music friends where, bro, in the Caribbean, we'd call it a song clash.
Yeah.
All we do is play the shit we got coming out, right, and we battle each other. Like,
right.
Oh yeah?
Well, listen to this.
Woo! And you're like, oh! You know what I mean? And
right,
it's exciting.
Right.
And that's different. But again, if you're invited in the room and we walk in on Lizzo, if we walk in on Billie Eilish, yo, let's focus on Billie Eilish and let's focus on Lizzo, and let's, you know, because again, sometimes it'll throw the artist off, and that could mess up your whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think an important thing that you said that you need to really pay attention to this is, don't hold on to the hot stuff just for yourself. If you have someone that's ready to take that record, you can make more dope. It's not the last dope record you're gonna make. Get that record off, and you learned a valuable lesson on that day.
And I learned a valuable lesson, and for me, that's another thing I just say, like, stop. If you are a songwriter, if you are a creator, if you create, yo, stop dwelling on one creation, yo. Like, stop dwelling on one. It's like, you can't have this song.
Right.
Yo, do you believe you ain't gonna make no other good songs ever again for your life?
Right.
Because if you do, then you should quit.
And guess what? If that one worked, you just go make a couple more of those.
Yeah, yo,
because everyone's gonna want some more of those.
If you feel like you can't make any more songs better than that song, I think you should quit music today. You should go back to school and you should be like an engineer or something.
Right.
Straight, this real fucking talk.
Right.
You either believe that you are the shit, or you don't,
And
because
you're only going to keep getting better.
listen, Quincy Jones did Thriller when he was 50. Anybody out there making music, that statement alone should tell you.
Say that again. Quincy Jones made
Thriller.
the Thriller album when he was 50 years old.
How can you beat that?
Patience.
Patience.
In our next video, we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes that songwriters and artists make. We're going to talk about the importance of collaboration, and we're going to touch on publishing and why it's important and what you need to know about it as a songwriter.